Hi guys, Malachy Friedman here, Twisted Ones podcast, Jiu-Jitsu magazine. I'm going to give you guys kind of the aftermath thoughts of the ADCC trials, some guys who we talked to, and then what this podcast is going to be about. So first of all, I want to welcome you guys. I am not media. I am not gossip. I am not rumors. Now that's not to say that these things can't come out on tape when we're talking about people's lives and we're talking about people's livelihood. But most importantly, I'm trying to get across the story of people that own martial arts businesses, anything to make money off of jiu-jitsu, whether it's photography, whether it's media, whether it's business help, anything. So you guys can reach out to me at ATT_lowcountry, right? At ATT_lowcountry. You can reach out there, send me a message. If you think what you have is something interesting, I'm willing to sit and talk to you and hopefully get you on a podcast. Now, most importantly, let's talk about the ADCC. I think the biggest thing that sticks out to me is Seth Daniels and Sean Fowler. And what they did with ADCC is something that we have not seen in Jiu-Jitsu. Okay? I'm talking about world-class Jiu-Jitsu, world-class grappling, if you'd say it, because it could be any kind of mixture of art. What they did, they made it like an NBA Finals, at the same time making it almost like a pride match. When I say a pride match, what I'm talking about is that these guys, it was so quiet during some of the transitions that you could hear a cough or even a fart. It was so quiet, all right? And then other times, it sounded like the NBA Finals, right? When there was a big move or something happened, it was insane. Not only that, but they brought in Chipotle, right? Which I know this sounds like a plug, but it's not. Because if you think about it, one of the biggest problems that we have at tournaments is getting food and nourishment. These guys, they had like at least 3 to 4 times a week, or a day, 3 to 4 times a day, there was free food for staff, for coaches, for students, for athletes. Doesn't get better than that, okay? So those guys, Seth and Sean, deserve a really big, round of applause from everybody. Whether you love them, whether you don't love them, it doesn't matter. What they're doing for the sport is big. Let's talk about what happened next. The next generation, okay, guys? Dante Leon beat Lepre. That was big. He went against Wagner Hocha. I'm kind of mixed with the result on that. Referee decision, anything can happen. But in my opinion, it went the other way. Wagner is a hell of a competitor. He's rough. He's tough. I love that about him. He gets in your face. It's one of those guys. Ty Rutulo. I'm hoping I say his name right. I talked to him a couple matches after he had lost third place to Paul Miao. But what he did to Paul Miao was insane. I mean, Paul Miao may never walk the same again. Either that or they have no bones or ligaments left. It was insanity. But these kids, they made it all the way to the third round, Ty, and is an incredibly nice human being. Okay, I'm not talking about cocky. There is no cocky. He's 16 years old. 16 years old in the ADCC championships. Then you got Nicky Ryan, 18 years old, I believe, 18 years old in the ADCC. Then you have Kennedy Marcel, who is Cobrinha's little Cobrinha, right? And he made it to the finals. All right, guys? This is unprecedented that you would have this many young talent. And then, of course, you got Nicky Rod. Nicky Rod walked through Ali. Didn't walk through Ali. He went through Ali, Orlando Sanchez, and Cyborg all the way to the finals against Kenan Duarte. And it was only a back take, which Kenan kind of got penalty points for holding on. Insane. Then we had a match where it was the absolutes. The absolutes is ADCC, go home, you're drunk. That's what I'm talking about. I mean, there were upsets like crazy. And one person you cannot forget about is Lachlan Giles. All right? Lachlan Giles, he came in. I mean, he's a small dude. He didn't win his division. He came in and he beat Kanan by heel hook. This is the guy that sealed his division. Got gold in his division. Heel hooked him. I believe he heel hooked Patrick Gaudio. He heel hooked Muhammad Ali and took third place in the absolutes. You don't ever see little guys make it that far. You know, that's the only thing I can think of is Marcelo Garcia, who made it to the finals with Drysdale. It doesn't happen. You know, these guys are all high-level grapplers with you know, and when you go up against bigger, stronger, high-level grapplers, it kind of stops for a second. You know, it kind of slows down the game and it makes it very, very difficult to beat those guys. So when you have somebody like Lachlan Giles who's tearing feet at a heavy weight and he's small, that's a big deal, guys. Another thing, we interviewed Gordon Ryan. That's coming out soon. Gordon is champ. He is the double gold. So we got gold in his division, and then he got gold against Buchecha. It was a penalty point. I mean, I'm sure that any of the guys who like to run it back and not be a penalty point, I'm sure that both of those guys would take a 60 to 80 to 150 to 1,000 minute match. You know, for there to be a point, at least a point on the board. But he was more active. Buchecha got tired. It was one of those things, man. But the crowd was screaming Buchecha. The other crowd was screaming Gordon. It was great. I mean, you don't see that in Jiu-Jitsu. You don't see that in a lot of other sports. So that's just another kind of plug for why it should be in a higher level. So what I'm going to do, guys, is my podcast is about a couple things. The people that we've recently talked to that you do not want to miss is Half Gracie. We have a Half Gracie interview, right? That's going to come out. We have a Gordon Ryan interview. That's going to come out. Gary Tunnan, that's going to come out. Nicky Rod, that's going to come out. Jared Dopp, we've talked to Alec Balding. We talked to a lot of guys, right? Thanks to MusclePharm for putting that on. You know, and I got to thank other sponsors of mine, which is of course, you know, Broken Lantern, who always supports me, helped me with my ticket out there. And of course it was, you know, MusclePharm is huge. Fresh Meal Plans, those guys that I do small work with, man, they're always the reason why I'm able to go out and branch out and bring more things to my students. So what this podcast is about is that I'm not the media, guys. 100%. I don't know anything about media. I'm not the media guy. I have a thing where I put out DVDs. I have a system where I own my own academy. But realistically, anybody can write gossip, rumors. They can do anything like that. I don't want to be the first one. That's a lot of work to be credit to those guys. I'll talk to those guys on my podcast that have to be the first ones to report. I'm not into that. What I'm into is I'm into hearing, so think about Tim Ferriss. I'm into hearing what people are interested in hearing about experts in their field who make a living off of jiu-jitsu. If it's not a living, they're making money. I talk to photographers, they're like, oh, don't interview me. I'm like, listen, there's tons of photographers right now that want to be where you are at the ADCCs with a press pass. They need to know the road that you got there. We'll talk to pro athletes, guys who are making a living doing that. You know, we'll talk to, of course, you know, I'm looking forward to talking to Gordon again and talking to Gary again. I'm talking to some guys that just wasn't possible during the time, and talk about their living, how they make a living. I mean, everybody wants to make a living doing jiu-jitsu. They have to be good, number one, but number two, it's also you have to be smart. You have to be smart on how you get sponsored and how you the matches that you take, so it's the best thing for your future. Instructional makers, tournament promoters. Hopefully, I can get Seth Daniels or Sean Fowler with me, and we can talk about what just happened at ADCC. Gi companies. I mean, we're all the way from Sandoval to Show Your Roll to guys that are just getting started. So if you're trying to make a gi company, you're going to hear about their path. Academy owners. You know, as an academy owner, I can always learn more from other academy owners, especially instructors. How do they do their curriculum? How do they manage burnout rate? How do they keep their students interested so they don't quit? You know, because I mean, jiu-jitsu for me is huge. I love it. I love it to death. And if I lose a student, then I've failed in giving my passion to them. We're also doing with business advisors. We're going to talk to Alan Belcher. You know, he's pretty much UFC guy, beat Paul Juarez. You know, that was when the heel hooks were like unstoppable. He stopped it. We're going to talk about that. We're also going to talk about how he helps businesses, how he works with those guys. I mean, the biggest thing, guys, I want to know, like, why am I doing this? we all want to make money doing what we love to do. Okay? That's number one. We all wanted to make money doing what we love to do. And had there been somebody on a podcast that talked about academy stuff, that talked about what they're going to run to, that talked about instruction and what they're going to run to there. I mean, this is just basically, I'm hoping to be a Tim Ferriss type interview where I get to know how their brain works, what they've went through, and why they are where they are today. All right, guys? So number one, remember, Twisted Ones podcast. Shout out to MusclePharm. Shout out to Chipotle. Man, listen, you don't get Chipotle at an ADCC. It's insane, okay? They deserve props for sponsoring the thing. Fresh Meal Plan, that is I'm going to be working with. I'm going to be interviewing those guys. I want to know how, they're feeding athletes. Okay, guys? That's it. If I missed anybody, I will definitely, this is just a quick turnaround and to let you guys know what to expect. People making money from Jiu-Jitsu. Okay, guys? They're following their passion, they're making money, that's the biggest deal. Our podcast will be released. I have a new DVD on the way, so I'm going to be busy, but I'm going to make time for this because I think it's important, because I should have had something to help me when I was getting started, at least in the academy business. All right, guys, take care. Malachy Friedman signing off. Twisted Ones podcast. Take care.